Congrats on getting your new Rose Anvil camera harness, and thank you so much for buying a harness. It makes a huge difference in my small business. A lot of people think that we're a big corporation with tons of employees, but in all reality, it's just me and 3 of my friends. So every time we get a harness purchase, it makes a huge difference in the business, so thank you so much. We get asked how people can best support us because we're such a small company and we don't have a big marketing budget. We're kind of the underdogs. The best place to support us would be sharing on Instagram or any of your social media of getting your harness, your experience with the harness, opening the harness, because it makes a huge difference, and thank you so much. So let's get your harness fitted. So this setup video is for the 2020 harnesses and onward. So if you ordered it in late 2019 or you're not getting it till now, some of the parts might be a little bit different, but overall it's basically the same process. If you do have any questions or concerns and you're missing any parts, feel free to reach out and we'll get you taken care of. Because we're always trying to improve the design and take people's feedback and apply it directly to the harnesses. So if you do have some feedback for us, feel free to reach out because I want to make the best harness possible. And before we start adjusting the harness, just put your harness on first to make sure it's not too small. We send all the harnesses at their biggest setting. So if it is too small, just let us know and we'll ship you a bigger size. These harnesses aren't a one size fit all. It's a harness that you're gonna need to adjust and fine tune to your own style of shooting and your body type and your size and height and just everything, because it's not as universally fit. So you're gonna have the best experience if you spend the time to really dive into it and try a few different settings, spend an hour or so playing with it, just to really get to know the harness and really get it to fit you perfectly. Just keep that in mind when you get the harness. It's gonna take you a little while to get it dialed in. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. Brittany is our customer service person and she does an awesome job. She knows the harnesses inside and out and can help you. Or if worst case scenario, if you're just completely lost, we can do a Skype call and me and you can work it out and figure out how to get it set up for you. And this is going to be the setup video for all the different harnesses because 90% of the setup is the same on all the harnesses. And then all the little things that are different, like the chest strap on the Lone harnesses, we'll cover that in this video. And then the smaller adjustment on the back of the drifter, we'll cover it as well. So this is the video for all the harnesses. There's 3 things that we get probably the most emails about. It's the Conway buckles, Chicago screws, and safety straps. So pay really close attention that you're adjusting the Conway buckles right, because they are often adjusted wrong. And don't forget to tighten your Chicago screws before every photo shoot until your harness is really broken in. And even then it wouldn't hurt to double check the tightness. And then third, don't forget to use your safety straps and make sure that they're on there securely and adjusted the right way, so that if you happen to accidentally open your snap shackle, this is here to catch your camera. So don't forget those 3 things. And we'll go over in depth in the video, but just a reminder because we get tons of emails about it. So now let's get to the adjusting of the harnesses. So the first adjustment we're gonna make is to the 2 straps that go to the leather piece that's underneath your arm with the Rose Anvil sign on it. That's called the Junction. And for a general rule of where you want that little leather Junction to fit, the little piece with the logo on it, is you want it to fit about a hand's width under your armpit. So as you can see, mine is a little too low, probably 4 or 5 inches too low. So we need to raise that up a little bit. And to do that, take your harness off and take the little Allen wrench that we included with your package and potentially a flathead screwdriver and undo the 2 Chicago screws that go to the leather junction. And then just put your Chicago screws aside for the moment and without taking the straps out of the junction, put your harness back on and just slide those straps through the junction, just kind of loosely until you get that junction piece about where you need it to be. And another thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is you want to raise the front strap about as many holes as the back strap. You can adjust that a little bit here and there to fit your own body, but for another general rule, if you raise the front strap 5 holes, you want to raise the back strap 5 holes. So I pulled that leather through a little bit and I got it about where I want it. So now I'm going to take the harness off again and tack down those straps with the Chicago screws. And I'm just checking again that I'm raising them the same amount. I'm moving up 1, 2, 3, 4 holes on the front and 1, 2, 3, 4 holes on the back. And then just put your Chicago screws back in. And while you're adjusting this, you don't need to tighten them super tight every single time while you're adjusting them between adjustments. When you do have the right size, make sure that you really tighten them down and check them before every photo shoot, just in case, you know, that the leather's going to compress a little bit and the Chicago screws can get a little bit loose over time. And one thing we've done to help fix that problem is we've started to include these Conway buckles, and I will show you how to do that more towards the end of the video. These basically just replace the Chicago screws if you don't want to deal with tightening them or if you need to make a quicker adjustment. So back to this. So once you got your Chicago screws back in to the holes, you can also put an extra Chicago screw near the bottom to tack it down, just add some redundancy to the safety. Try it back on. Double check the fitment, about a hand's width underneath your armpit. That looks about right for me. And now just tighten them down. And to get them really tight, you might have to use a flathead screwdriver on the backside to get it really snug. And like I said, like, make sure to tighten these before each photo shoot because you don't want one of these straps coming loose. And if you're worried about it, I'll put a timestamp to swapping them out with the Conway buckles. Before we can make the next adjustment, we need to attach a camera to it. So let's go over all the different parts and how to attach a camera. Starting with our patent pending snap shackle. You've got a little pull tab here, the leather pull tab to open and close the clasp. You've got this hook here, which is the hip anchor, which allows you to shift all the weight of your camera and your gear to your hips, take it all off your back. You can just use this with a regular belt, or if you bought one of these or you bought the Pro package, this is just a little holster that just makes it a little bit easier. Those are available on the site if you didn't get the Pro package. And then your camera D-ring screw, which goes into the bottom of your camera, and then your safety strap, either the nylon or if you got the Pro package, the leather safety strap. So to attach your camera, take your camera. I'm using my old Rebel, don't make fun of me. You take your D-ring screw, just screw it into the bottom anchor of your camera. Get that nice and tight. And then you're gonna take your snap shackle and make sure that pull tab is tight. You might wanna check this until it's fully broken in and completely tightened down. Pull that, open up the jaws of the snap shackle, fit it around the D-ring screw, close it. And now we just need to attach your safety strap, and there's a million ways that you can do this, so we'll just go through a bunch of them. For the nylon safety strap, you're gonna have a little split ring that's on your carabiner, and then the safety strap, a slide buckle, and a little retainer. And the first way to set this up would be to put your little jump ring, your split jump ring, on the side anchor of your camera, and then put your carabiner through the little hole in the side of the snap shackle. This is a hole that's specifically made to fit the safety strap. And then you take the safety strap and thread it through the split ring on the side anchor of the camera. And now for every single one of these adjustments, there's a particular way to adjust and fit the safety strap that's going to be most safe for your camera. So pay really close attention to this and make sure you do it the right way. So the first thing you need to do is take your slide buckle and slide it onto your safety strap like this. And then you take that end and slide it through the side anchor or the little split ring. And your tendency is going to be to slide that nylon strap over top of the previous strap and then back through. And you can do it that way, but just keep in mind that it's not going to be as secure and not as safe as putting it underneath of the buckle. The right way to do it is after you've put it through the side anchor in your camera, you want to loosen the top strap that's already through the side buckle, and then slide that end of the strap underneath of the previous strap, and then back down and through so that the end of the strap is underneath of the top strap. And what that's gonna do is help cause some tension anytime it's tightened, which will keep that strap bound tightly so that you can still adjust it and you can still move it around, but it's as safe as you can get with this type of buckle. So that's gonna be the exact same for every single time we adjust these straps, including the leather safety straps. So keep that in mind when we're doing this. So that's the first way I set it up. And the benefit of having the carabiner hooked to this little hole on the snap shackle is it's below the pivot point so that when your camera spins, the safety strap spins with it instead of getting all twisted up. So if you don't want to hook it there and it's kind of in the way, or for some reason you don't like it, you can hook it to this bigger opening above the pivot point on the snap shackle, but just keep in mind, as your camera twists, it's gonna twist up the safety strap. Okay, next way that you can do it, you can hook your carabiner to the little split jump ring that's on your side anchor of your camera, and then take your loose end and feed it through the little hole on the snap shackle. It's gonna be a little bit harder to get it through there, but it'll work just the same. A lot of people like to set it up this way so they can easily disconnect their safety strap from their camera and leave their safety strap on their harness. And you can do the same thing and just attach it to the bigger loop up above the pivot point on the snap shackle. But then again, keep in mind that it's gonna get twisted up a little bit easier again. And then the final way that I see most people doing this is you can remove the carabiner from your safety strap and remove the buckle and everything else with it. Slide the loose end through either the hole in the safety strap or that bigger looped area. Then thread that end through the looped end that you just took the carabiner off of. Get that passed through. Then tighten it down. Now you put your slide buckle back on and slide it through the side anchor or the split ring, and then just do it up like regular. And the reason people do this is it's a lot more quiet. You don't have the carabiner jangling around as much, but it's a little bit harder to take off. So that's the most common ways I've seen people attach their safety strap. Pros and cons for each one. So choose whichever one works best for you. Try them all out. Now to the leather safety strap. This is the 2020 version of the safety strap with the extra little clasp here on the adjustment end. If you have the older version and you need one of these, they are available on the site. I priced them at cost just to help you guys out that bought the older versions. So to attach this, one end you attach to the side anchor of your camera with the split ring, or if it fits around your side anchor, great. And then the other end you attach to the little hole in the side of the snap shackle. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You can move these different ways, but this is the most efficient and effective way of doing it, in my opinion. And then to adjust this, it's just like the nylon safety strap. Just loosen that top strap and then pull that up. And if you want it tighter, pull more slack up. Pull it through the other side, and you've got a shorter safety strap. If you need more slack, loosen that top side again, and then pull the slack out of the back side so it's longer. You might want to take a minute to figure out what length works best for you and what's going to make this safety strap most out of your way, but pretty simple, and that's all there is to it. Now that you got your camera hooked up and your safety strap on, let's adjust the tether. So let me get this table a little bit out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So the tether is the part of the harness that goes from the junction all the way down to the snap shackle. It's this strap right here. And you don't want this to be so short that when you lift your camera up, your whole harness is lifting up with it. But you also don't want it so long that you can't reach your camera when your arm's at your side. It's just kind of one of those things, you're gonna have to try a few different things. I like to just have my camera at my hand with my arms at my side. But to adjust this length. This is one of the things that gets most confused when I see people wearing their harnesses on Instagram and stuff like this. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to take painstaking detail to make sure you adjust it right, because this is probably the thing that gets misadjusted the most. So to adjust the length of your tether, we're going to adjust the Conway buckle. And a Conway buckle, it's super simple, but it can be a little bit confusing. So to put it as simply and as basic as possible, you never want to move the bottom strap. It's always got to stay on the last hole on that little spike, and then the top strap is the only one you ever move. So to make the tether shorter, loosen the top strap and slide the Conway buckle with the bottom strap still on that center spike. Move that up and pull the slack through, and then push that top strap back down on that center spike. And now your tether is shorter. To lengthen it back out, pull some of that slack back up through the Conway buckle, leaving the bottom strap on the last hole on that center spike. Pull that slack back through, lengthening the tether back up, lining it back up with that center spike and pressing it down. And that's really all there is to it. So if you feel like you didn't quite get that right, just double check that the strap on the bottom is on the last hole on that spike. If you've got a lot of extra strap up here like this, you've done it wrong, and all you need to do is loosen both straps and put that first strap on that center spike and then adjust the top strap from there. But that's how you do the Conway buckle. I think that was clear enough. If not, let me know and I'll fix this video, because if you're confused, it's not your fault, it's my fault for not explaining it clearly. So let me know. Adjust that a few different times, find the correct length, go out in the backyard, practice shooting, and your harness is gonna take a while to break in. So it's gonna feel a little stiff at first. After your first shoot using the harness, you might have to adjust certain things here and there. So it's kind of a continued process, but that's how you adjust the tether. Now that you've had a little experience with the Conway buckle on the tether, let's talk about the use of the Conway buckles on the upper part of the harness and swapping these out for the Chicago screws. So the benefit and the reason we include these and the reason you might want to swap these out for the Chicago screws is these are easier to adjust. As you can tell from the tether adjustment, it's just loosening that top strap and moving the strap. You don't have to unscrew anything. It's super fast and easy. So if you're wearing your harness sometimes with the coat on, sometimes with the coat off, or if you're swapping a harness between a few people and you need a quick adjustment, these are going to be really good for that. The only drawback to these is they're not as comfortable. They don't lay quite as flat on your body as a Chicago screw, but they're also a little bit more secure because you don't have to worry about these unscrewing. So I'll show you how to put these on and how to adjust them. To swap out your Chicago screws for the Conway buckles, first thing you need to do is take your little Allen wrench and maybe that flathead screwdriver to get these Chicago screws off. Take your Chicago screws off. We'll start with one for now, and just try to remember where your settings are. If you need to, take a photo of where your setting was or count the holes, whatever works best for you. Next, you're gonna unthread your one strap from the junction. Okay? Now you're going to thread the Conway buckle on, leaving a nice big loop so you can have your adjustment. Then thread the end of the strap back through the junction, the leather junction. And now you're going to take the end of the strap and go up through the Conway buckle, kind of like what we did with the safety strap. And then take the strap and bend it back down, and so that your last hole on the strap lines up with the center spike on the Conway buckle. And you might have to bend the tip down a little bit to get it to fit there perfectly. And you might have to do a little bit of forcing to get that hole stretched out enough. And then once that bottom strap is on the last hole on the spike, now you can adjust this top strap back to the correct hole it was on before. So then you kind of sink that down just like that. And now you're gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. Once you've got that done, it's pretty easy to adjust. It's just adjust the exact same way as the Conway Buckle on the tether, where all you have to do is loosen that top strap. And if you want a bigger setting, slide that down. If you want it tighter, loosen the top strap, leaving the bottom strap on the last hole on the center spike, and pulling that slack through and making sure that you push that leather down on the spike pretty well, because the hole's a little bit smaller than it needs to be to fit on that spike, so you kind of have to push it down a little bit, and as you wear it and adjust it, that hole will fit that spike a little bit better. And that's how you swap out the Conway buckles for the Chicago screws. And if you need to swap back to the Chicago screws, you just do the same thing in reverse. Pop the Conway buckles off and put your Chicago screws back in. And for the drifter, you've got one more setting that you can adjust here on the back. You can undo these 2 Chicago screws and either move this adjustment in or out. So if you got a really narrow shoulder width or back, you can undo these 2 Chicago screws and adjust it to the 1st and 4th hole, which will bring it in and make it smaller. Or you can adjust to the 1st and 2nd hole, which is gonna bring it out and make it a wider set harness. So if you've got a really wide back, try that out. If you're really narrow shouldered, try out the smallest setting and see which one works best for you. Most people are gonna be fine on this middle setting, but that's the final setting on the drifter. And then if you've got one of the Lone harnesses, you've got your chest strap that comes around your body. There's a few different ways you can wear this. You can wear it below your chest, you can wear it above your chest, you can wear it across your chest. Try a few different ways and see which works best for you. And to adjust this, all you need to do is undo this Chicago screw. And after you've got the Chicago screw undone, take the little hook and hook it between the 2 rivets. This is where most people are gonna wanna hook it. And then just kind of tighten it down by hand and get a general feel from where you might want it to sit. And then maybe make a little mark by which hole you want it to attach to, and then take it off. And then put your Chicago screw on the hole that you marked. And then just try it on, make sure it fits you right. You might have to adjust it a little bit here and there. It's kind of personal preference. You don't want it so tight that you can't breathe, but you also don't want it so loose that it's slipping off your shoulder. And another thing you can do is, if you have a big adjustment and you've got a lot of room here, you can tack this extra room down with an extra Chicago screw. We send plenty of extras in your harness. And it's also nice just to have an extra Chicago screw on hand just in case you happen to lose one. So I like to add an extra one on there for that reason. And then as to where to put the hook, most people are going to want to hook it right between the 2 rivets. It's going to be most comfortable there for most people, but occasionally I see people hooking it down here. If they're wanting this strap below their chest, sometimes they'll hook it here. But for the majority of people, you're going to hook it right between those 2 rivets. And this is another adjustment you're going to want to check before each photo shoot for a while. And if you don't want to check it, this is another place where you can put another Conway buckle on. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It's fairly simple once you kind of get the hang of it. You might have to go through and rewatch some parts of it. And maybe before you commit to an 8-hour photo shoot on Saturday, go in the backyard and do a mini photo shoot with your dog or something, and just kind of get a feel for the harness and really wear it for a while so you can see if your settings are right. Because you might, once it starts breaking in or once you have it on for a while, you might want to tweak some of the adjustments. So try it out a little bit before you commit to a full day. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. But like I said before, we're a super small company, so be a little patient with us. We usually get back to you within a day or 2. And thank you again so much for supporting my small business. It makes such a huge difference. You know, we're not a giant corporation, so thank you so much. And if there's anything else we can do for you, let us know. See ya.